Guys, I'm Simulator Tech, and I've never tried an Alice layout keyboard. However, when Cidoo offered to send over one of their ABM006s, I couldn't resist. Coming in at $60 for a barebones kit and $90 for a pre-built one, like I have, this board is definitely on the cheaper side of the keyboard hobby. It's also an in-stock product, so it's very accessible. Inside the box, we have a braided USB cable and a keycap switch puller. There's also a manual at the bottom of the box, which has some cute designs, which is a nice touch. Here's the board. It's a very unique looking board with a beige plastic case and white and blue keycaps. On the right, there's a knob with a small screen, which is really cool at this price point. On the left is a little RGB accent, which at first I thought was a button, but turns out it's just purely aesthetic. On the back is a centered USB-C port and a switch to switch between the connection modes. There's not much design other than a sticker. There are also two stage adjustable feet, which is cool. Under the right foot is a slot for the 2.4 GHz dongle. Overall, the design is pretty unique and I like it more than I expected. Something I didn't like as much was the disassembly process. I don't think the board is really meant to be taken apart because the clips are ridiculously tight. Maybe I'm just weak, but I genuinely struggled to disassemble the case for like 15 minutes. Okay, it's finally open. Here we have the inner assembly comprised of a polycarbonate plate with plush gaskets, a bunch of foams including plate, PE, and PCB case foam, and a hot swap PCB with south-facing sockets, RGB, and VIA compatibility. Taking a closer look at the keycaps, we can see their very thick die-sub PBT MDA profile. The designs on the keycaps are, in my opinion, very cute, but they may not be your cup of tea. The switches included on the board are Cidoo's silent blue switches. As expected, they're very quiet and naturally slightly mushy feeling and sounding, but they're very smooth. Unfortunately, due to the very silent nature of this switch, the very minor spring ping is just audible when you type, especially when you're closer to the board. The bottom piece of the case is thin and made of plastic, but it feels reasonably sturdy. Inside is a battery and a daughter board, and the 2.4 GHz dongle is just visible. Alright, let's put this thing back together. I will have two sound tests. One is completely stock with the included silent switches, and one with these Cupid switches sent over from Keeps for All. The housings are a blend of PA66 and Palm. The long pole stem is POK, and the 18mm spring has an actuation force of 42 grams with a bottom out force of 48 grams. They're pretty light and they're extremely smooth, with no scratchiness in the sound or feel. They're rather deep in sound profile, and the bottom out sound is very clean due to the wider contact area of the stem to the bottom housing. Let's hear those sound tests. As expected, the configuration with the silent switches is pretty quiet. Definitely quieter than any membrane office keyboard I've tried, especially because of the lubed stabilizers. The configuration with the Cupid switches sounds surprisingly good considering the only change is different switches. It's very deep and marbly sounding, which I guess should be expected from the combination of a plastic case polycarb plate, and a ton of foam. If you like that sound signature, it's very easy to achieve with this board. In terms of feel, the board is pretty soft. It has some gasket compression alongside a bit of assembly flex. It's definitely a comfortable typing experience without being as ridiculous as some other boards. Coming from the perspective of someone who's never used an Alice layout keyboard, I actually found the transition to be very smooth. I pretty much started typing and it was perfectly fine. In theory, it's supposed to be more comfortable than a standard layout keyboard, but I didn't feel a significant difference other than having a bit of trouble finding the backspace key. Overall, if you like this layout and want a silent or deeper sounding keyboard, this could be a great option. It's especially great for those who aren't looking to spend a ton of money and could be a nice gateway into trying an Alice layout keyboard without dropping a ton of money. The only drawback I can think of is if you don't particularly like the aesthetic or color of the keycaps, but in that case you can just buy the kit and get your own switches and keycaps. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you for watching, and thank you Cidoo for sending out the board. See you guys later. Bye!